وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم بك نحيا وبك نموت وإليك المصير. رضينا بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيا ورسولا.
In the heart of Peterborough, this is Salaam Radio.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. Welcome to the Tech Factor, your weekly dive into the latest in the world of technology, where we decode the complex and celebrate the innovative. I'm your host, Akil Khalil, and joining me this evening are the tech enthusiasts and experts, Faisal and Shamshad. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Good.
All good.
How was your week?
Awesome, as always.
Who was the Cat 5? Who was the Cat 6?
Oh, what?
Never mind.
Always, always P1.
You're always a P1?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, good to have you both on the show this evening. So, we've had a lot of messages coming in, and people have been getting in touch with the show asking us to cover many different tech topics. And this evening's topic is a special one. Have you heard of quantum apocalypse? Have you heard of the quantum apocalypse? Do you know anything about it? We had a listener who messaged us asking us to cover this topic. And so tonight, we will delve into the concept of the quantum apocalypse, a time when quantum computers become so powerful they can break modern encryption. The question is, how close are we to this reality? Now, to give this a real world example, it would be, let's just say, Apple's iMessage or Facebook's WhatsApp. I nearly gave that to a different company, where you have end-to-end encryption, right? And this is where you can send a message from one entity to another entity and it doesn't get sent to, and no one can snoop in between the middle. But now, because of the development of super high powerful computers, which are now accessible to many people and organizations, they are now able to decode a lot of this encryption. And this evening, we are going to try to cover this. And we have our resident experts here with me this evening, and they will be sharing their thoughts on this. But before we do that, the question for you this evening is, what is your favorite messaging app? What do you use every day to converse with people? And is encryption important to you?
You're listening to Peterborough's community radio, Salaam Radio. Salaam Radio, 106.2 FM.
We'd love for you to get involved in the show, so you can call us on 01733 602 133, or you can text the show on 07411 191 062, or you can comment on our live streams, Facebook, YouTube, X, or Twitch. Now, Faisal, quantum apocalypse. Sounds like a very, very scary term, or something that's going to happen soon.
Yeah, it reminds me of the year 2000.
Oh, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Y2K and everything.
Yeah, the
Millennium Bug.
Do you remember everything was going to shut down?
Yeah.
We were young then, right?
Yeah. I was at uni at the time.
Right, and I actually believed this, just so you're aware. I thought, oh, okay, this is
So
actually
you were
going to
awake?
happen. I was awake. I was awake at that time when the doomsday clock was
When the
counting
click
this down.
ticked over.
Exactly, and then it didn't happen.
It didn't happen because people were fixing it. They were
Yeah.
getting paid £300-400 an hour in those days.
Wow.
To recode these old programs into
To tick over the day in time.
workable systems.
Okay.
But yeah, so I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I think sometimes newspapers and magazines or online media sensationalizes this because majority of people don't understand what it is and they need some sort of news. But saying that, I'd be more worried about access to online banking and security of financial information, corporate secrets, whatever it is that's encrypted. It doesn't just affect messaging apps like, what me and you, us three, talk about on WhatsApp or on iMessage. There's nothing really there to worry about.
Well, it depends really if you're sharing some sort of secret recipe. But I mean, look, Faisal, let's just, for someone who doesn't know, quantum computing is... Quantum computing uses specialized technology, including computer hardware and algorithms that take advantage of quantum mechanics to solve complex problems that classical computers or supercomputers can't solve, or can't solve them quickly enough.
A lot of the problems can't be solved. It just take way too long before they could even be solved. So when it says can't be solved quickly enough, we're talking millions of years or thousands of years to solve. You could say it would be a simple thing for a quantum computer. And the other thing to understand between quantum computers and classical computers, it doesn't mean that these things will replace classical computers. They perform a different type of task. It's like how you have horse and cart. Then cars replace that, but the horse and cart still exists for a purpose. And then you got supercars. Just because supercars are the most fastest cars that exist, it doesn't mean that they've got practical use.
Great analogy.
So you're not going to have quantum computers on your desktop. Quantum computers will be sitting inside a special room or environment. They cannot operate only at a certain temperature, below whatever it is, Kelvin. Zero temperature. It has to be below that for it to actually operate. It works in a different way. So sometimes it's explained like this. So a normal computer, it can only perform one task at a time, whereas a quantum computer can perform the task multiple times. So let's say if you've got a problem to solve, like going through a maze, a normal computer, even if it's got parallel processing, it can only do it one at a time. If it's got 10 processors, it will do 10 of the tasks in one go, but each of those processes is only doing it one at a time. So just imagine you got 5 entrances to the maze, and you got like your goal in the middle where you want to get to. A normal computer, it will try all those options one by one, and it will do it pretty quickly. Yeah, with a quantum computer, it's going to try all the options in one go.
At the same time.
So it's difficult to explain. So with electricity and normal computers, you turn the switches turn on or off. With quantum computers, they're in a state of on and off at the same time. And that is all to do with quantum physics and quantum mechanics. I can't explain it. It's mathematics.
Well, I think you did a great job of explaining it, actually.
Once this technology is out, it will make a lot of modern-day computers, current-day computers, obsolete in certain fields and purposes. Like you said, banking and so on. Because part of the current computers is security as well.
Yes, so I think things like security and where you got complex algorithms and problems to solve. For example, if they use current computers to find the genome sequence or find which gene affects, which is a cancer gene or whatever. So they've taken so long to optimize these algorithms, and it takes so many years to isolate that gene. Whereas with quantum computers, you'll be able to do it within hours rather than years. Or days instead of decades.
Okay.
Also creating new materials as well. So materials that don't exist at the moment. So you've got 3D printers and all these type of things. You're putting these materials that exist. Quantum computers will help us create materials that don't exist.
So typically, what kind of sectors would be using these things? So healthcare.
First thing that comes to my mind is espionage.
So I was just going to say, are we saying that there are governments out there in the world which have
all of them
are using this?
They're all working towards. They've invested heavily into this.
So, and could a government, in your opinion, Shamshad, a government use a quantum computer for nefarious purposes?
Of course, it's sort of like an arms race as well. So the first one to get there will have the advantage.
Yeah, governments.
Big time.
Yeah, governments are basically sponsoring companies, so they're throwing loads of funding. Quantum, AI, blockchain, these kind of technologies, they all kind of go hand in hand as well.
Yeah.
And they're throwing millions and hundreds and millions, even billions of dollars of funding towards these kind of projects. And you've got big companies like IBM, Microsoft, Google, those big players. But then you've got also specialist, smaller companies as well involved in this space, especially in the UK. You've got
so a lot of secure data that you have currently is behind current technology and its capabilities. Whereas these quantum computers, they're on a different level. They're up there, and it's like a child compared to a fully grown adult. What they're capable of. It's sort of in that sense, you can see it, or maybe even not even an adult, more like a fully advanced alien, from another world.
Yeah. I mean, the three advantages of quantum computing. One is, the thing that I mentioned about creating new materials. They call it chemical simulation.
Yeah.
So that's one benefit of it. So it'll be able to.
Is it are you talking about when they found that what was it, graphene or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, but this is now creating a completely new material. Yeah, so
that doesn't exist at the moment.
That doesn't exist. So
this would be a combination of
different chemicals.
Yeah.
So where you know, do you remember the periodic table
Yes.
stuff? So if you combine oxygen with hydrogen, so if you have 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen, it creates water.
Yeah.
So in the same way, if we need a certain material to solve a problem, let's say we really need some sort of, I don't know, glove, which is so strong, but at the same time you can flex it around. That will require some sort of special material. Or we're creating a super fast vehicle, and you need to create a chassis, and the current strongest material is whatever, and lightest is, you know, carbon fiber, aluminium, or whatever. But
to withstand a certain amount of stress.
Stress, yeah. So the idea with this is that quantum computers will allow you to create those new materials.
And just to add to that, then, so we know serial entrepreneurs in the world, someone like Elon Musk, they are using quantum computers for their company. So, for example, SpaceX will be using quantum computers for the technology they put into their rockets, right? And similarly, I know that Tesla are using quantum computing for their actual software. And like you just mentioned about learning, evolving, innovation, and the materials element of it certainly is in sync with organizations like NASA and so on, who are using this for a purpose, I guess, to push elements for humanity.
Yeah,
and obviously make money.
One thing you got to remember today is that the quantum computing power isn't there yet. So you need this thing called qubits. So you need around about 1 million of these things to be able to do what I've explained.
Yeah.
At the moment, they're around 400, and I think IBM got 450 something qubits in a single quantum computer. So it's until they've managed to create as many of these qubits. Qubits is basically that thing which allows the atom to be in that superposition. So it's not either on or off. It's kind of hovering there.
Yeah.
And it's only up until that point they'll be able to actually do this. But until then, there's software available. So Microsoft have got this tool. It's called Microsoft R. The language is Microsoft R. And with that, you can create algorithms which you can potentially utilize quantum computing in future. At the moment, it will just use whatever resources are available in the cloud. But in future, it won't be a case of, oh, I've got to own a quantum computer. I could just use a service from Microsoft or Google or IBM or whoever, and I could rent that computer for whatever period to.
But these have to be super cool as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. So
yeah, it's just like any other quantum technology.
Yeah, so it's got to be minus whatever it is. It's not zero, but it's Kelvin zero, so it's minus 270 degrees.
And I want you wearing your current shirt, Faisal, in that environment. Well, that was such a cool shirt.
I mean,
I love the shirt. I'm just saying,
summer, man. So I've got to.
No, I mean in this environment where there's going to be a supercomputer, you've got to go there and you've got to do something to it.
Yeah, I'll be wearing this.
You'll be wearing that.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, when we look at, I mean, I'm going to lean on Tesla just for one more time, and the Boring Company and the vision for having driverless cars moving around America. You know, quantum computing is heavily featured as part of their programs. And do you think that we will ever get to a stage where quantum computing? I know it's very expensive at the moment, of course, but like
it will be for a very long time.
It will be for a very long time. Okay. That was my question, really. Can we see within the next 20 years or so that the price would have come down?
One thing you got to remember is it's not for consumer use.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so
but I want to pick you up on that actually. Yeah. So
it's like, you know, you have the servers currently. Yeah. You know, servers are very powerful as they are, but you don't see people having them at home, do they?
No, this is true. However, what I'm saying is, as the world moves on, as technology moves on. Look, give you an example. Smaller. Last time we had a show, one of you shared that $48,000 computer.
Yeah.
Right? There'll be people out there buying it. What I'm saying to you is that if we've got governments out there who are buying this technology, there will be private individuals who are also going to be buying this technology to use for whatever reason they want to use for. There could be that they want to plan the next space race or the new material that you mentioned that could be used to, you know, enhance or push humanity in a different direction. So, like with everything, can we see quantum computing being part of our everyday accessible life within the next 20 years?
I think it will be things like, let's say we're using ChatGPT or something like that on our mobiles. And the ChatGPT will utilize quantum computing.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
we'll be interacting with it through our normal devices, laptops or whatever. But it's the back end of it, you know, what the computing power it needs, that will be utilizing.
So if effectively what we're saying is it's a bit like in the cloud or somewhere where we're using a local device that we can then perform really incredible calculations or whatever we want to create.
Yeah, I mean,
incredibly complex tasks.
Yes.
You can do that today. So let's say, for example, in the old days, let's say 10 years or let's say 20 years ago, we used to have servers in our office, in our company. So we had an email server, we had this server and that server. 5 years after that, we started hosting those servers in a data center. So got new servers, they're in a data center. Now we're at a stage where we're renting services from cloud computing providers. So we don't even have servers as a company, and a lot of organizations don't.
Yeah.
Even big organizations, I've seen that they
AWS,
as long as you can afford it,
they're using either Azure or
affordability,
AWS or whatever they want to use. So, and it'll be the same thing with this. You'll have companies that provide the quantum computing resource, and then others will be able to use it. It's like, for example, Netflix doesn't have its own data center; it uses AWS or Azure.
Well, the other thing to consider as well is the pace that things move forward as well. You said 20 years, but in another 5-10 years, something else, in this field could come up that doubles the processing power of these quantum computers that we're talking about now.
Yeah, I think the way it will change is that the way we interact with computers. So, we're already talking about headsets, Apple Vision or whatever.
Oh, he's gone back to the Vision Pro.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that later. Or driverless cars you're talking about. So, at the moment, they've got only so much power. They only know, okay, I'll take you down this route, or I'll take you down that route because there's an accident that's happened here based on the data it gets.
You can only deal with a certain amount of data at one point.
Yeah. So quantum computers will allow data to be processed really quickly, basically. So
as much data as you've got, basically.
Yeah, and also different types of data. So the way AI, for example, currently works is you've got AI, specific AI, yeah? So you go into ChatGPT, it does a specific thing for you. You go onto another system, it'll do facial recognition or whatever it is. It only does that, and it's really good at that. You've got another system that will play chess or play a game, whatever it is. It's optimized for that purpose. With quantum computing, there's a thing called artificial general intelligence.
General intelligence, I've heard of that,
AGI.
AGI, that's it.
Yeah, so that kind of AI is the way humans work. So we can think of multiple different types of things. We can come up with poetry, we can come up with languages or whatever it is. We've created programming languages. In future, quantum computers will be able to do all that for us.
That's impressive. And that segues nicely into, I have a question from John here. He says, should we be worried about quantum computing, Sham, as private individuals? I'm assuming, John.
I wouldn't think so. No, not necessarily. I mean, first of all, it's a long way away. And also, like Brother Faisal was on about, and the way he was talking about, is people usually fear what they don't know. So it's a long way away, and I'm also sure that our governments are also working towards making these things safe.
Yeah.
And you have that much faith in the government,
I think the scary thing probably is because it's an arms race.
It's only once the first person gets it, that's the scary bit.
Yeah, I think people are scared that China will get.
So whoever gets it, all things will be. It's all open season for them. So things and data that was unreachable before could become for them for that period that they're the first ones to have that technology. That all that data will be available to them.
Thanks for your question, John. Appreciate that. I don't know if Sham.
It's a mixed.
It's been a bit of a mixed answer.
Yeah.
I mean, don't be too worried. I think you say.
Yeah. Basically,
think about,
unless the first country who gets it and they decide to do something else with it.
Yeah.
Think about medicines, for example. How they have to test medicines on animals and do all that type of stuff. Just imagine you don't need to do that anymore. You just find a problem and the computer solves it for you.
What are your thoughts on quantum apocalypse? You can contact the show.
To get involved, call 01733 602 133. This is Salaam Radio.
Sham, I put it to you, sir, that you have access to the world's first quantum computer. You have 3 things you can use it for. What would you use it for?
This is like that lottery question.
I don't know. Is that what you can do? First thing, I want to win the lottery.
I've never, to be honest, I haven't thought about that.
That's why I'm asking you.
I haven't thought about it. Why does my brain go to the nefarious things first?
Well, now he can have his own government, isn't he?
Hacking all the banks. No, I mean, I would say it would be a good use for quantum computing would be research.
Okay, so research is one.
Yeah,
okay.
research. A lot of would be good for research because that's what's holding back a lot of research in a lot of fields, especially medicine, and is because of how long it takes.
Yeah.
So simulation can take them years to go through, whereas with quantum computers, they'd have a result straight away, and then they can move on to the next thing and next thing for when they're trying to find a cure or whatever they're doing with whatever field in medicine. But personally,
so that's one. Number two.
Personally, I'd have one. I'd love to have one just do all my tech tasks for me.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, everything. So I don't have to touch my phone. All I do is press a button and just say to it what I need doing, and it just does it.
Okay.
Have to go to work.
And number three. And give me a third one.
Do my work for me as well. So thanks for that one.
You know what? That's going to happen. You'll be out of a job.
Wow. So yours is research. I thought you started well.
So I'll be
like them tasks for you, and it works for you.
I'll be like one of them guys. Remember, there was these stories come out before when with the contracting, people do contract, where someone would contract someone else to do their work for them, but at less money.
Yeah, subcontract.
Yes, yeah. So basically, someone else is just doing their work, so they're not even going.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
And I have to ask you, Faisal.
Yes.
What would you do? You have three opportunities to use this quantum computer. How would you use it?
I'd first probably use it for finding the most profitable stocks to trade on.
Well,
It could figure out, when to buy and sell stocks, shares in companies.
Okay. Second?
That would be child's play for it, wouldn't
it? Yeah. Maybe trade foreign exchange, number two, and then trade crypto.
So essentially, yours is all financial personal gain.
I can't think of it. No, there's other.
Oh no, you've given you three.
No,
I have to say, fascinating answers. He started off all right. Actually, he was thinking of humanity. Then he just made it all personal. And yours is to use quantum computing for personal riches.
But that's the thing.
I didn't say I was going to use the riches for personal use.
Oh right, okay.
But that's the thing, though, isn't it? You could do all of this.
Yeah.
And what you
simultaneously,
said, you could do it all. That's the thing.
Yeah,
you need money to help people. So I'd do that, and then I'd.
That was 4, 5, and 6.
Good save.
That was 4, 5, and 6 for him.
Well done. I'm very much aligned with what you're both saying in terms of who gets there first, but the amount of research that's going into it, the amount of finances that are being poured into this as well, this technology. I hope it's going to be used for the right reasons to elevate humanity and what we're trying to achieve together, because obviously we have many different issues affecting the world, climate change and poverty and so on. Does a quantum computer play a role? And if so, what is it? Does this technology stay in the corridors of power, and how will it use first? I'm with you on that, and I'm also aligned with the fact that the quantum apocalypse is probably sensationalized, but also that being said, it's good to see there are many companies out there, your Apples of the world. For example, Apple recently updated iMessage with their level 3 encryption, because initially it was Signal, the messaging app, which shared information about how level 1, which is used by WhatsApp, easily now breakable by a quantum computer, and they were going to move into the second phase. And Apple has seen this, right? Has seen that there's going to be this backdoor, that iMessage could potentially be compromised. And I know you both know this anyway, but one of the key things about Apple is security. Privacy and security are one of the reasons why you buy an Apple device. It's way more secure than Android, the operating system itself. And so to see a giant company like this thinking so far ahead, not jumping up one level, jumping up 2 levels.
Plus also you can put your Apple device into an even higher security mode. I mean, it's designed for government. There's a setting actually somewhere in your phone, if you've got an iPhone, which says that if you want to operate at this level, if you're this type of person, then you can do that. It basically takes the phone, it locks it down even further than it currently is.
That's fantastic. And that's kind of really my point, where you have... I guess Apple can see the threat. There's 2 reasons, isn't it? Really, one of them is that they don't want to lose their niche, their USP, of being such a closed environment, unable to be penetrated. If you look at some of the examples previously of, in America, there were some terror attacks, and when they arrested one of the guys, or he was going to do it, I can't recall. But nevertheless, he had an iPhone.
He's travelling to the US from the UK.
There we go. He had an iPhone.
It's the same one you're
and then he had turned on the feature, which is if you put in your passcode 10 times incorrectly, it wipes the device. So they've tried to get him to unlock the phone. They couldn't do it. So the FBI went to Apple and said, you need to unlock it. Apple said no, because it's going to create a backdoor. If we create it for one device, it has to be for everyone. And there was a whole situation that happened. And I know they then went on to an external firm who then did go ahead and do something and managed to access the device. But nevertheless, that was a real world example of how governments are trying to get into your devices for whatever reason it may be.
Yeah, sometimes, for example, police forces in places like that, they need sometimes to access these devices. They've been used for criminal purposes. They need to retrieve the evidence. But then it's, if it's not secure for that purpose, it's not secure for anybody else.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm certainly on it should be secure. Mm-hmm. And it's good to see a company like that, such a large company which has massive footprint in the world with devices, is thinking so far ahead, especially taking on the threat of quantum computing and how that would have an effect on a personal user's device. So thanks for your insights there, Faisal and Shamshad. We're heading towards a break now, but if you do have any questions for them about this, you can get involved. You can text the show with any questions you have. Faisal is our quantum computing guru.
I wouldn't say that.
But stick around. We'll return with tech tips and some cool stories of the week. See you soon, and make sure that you have a tough question for Faisal afterwards, because he's a genius when it comes to this.
Stay tuned to Salaam Radio after this short ad break.
ये खुद को कोविड-19 और फ्लू से बचाने का वक्त है। अगर आप या खानदान के किसी दूसरे फर्द को इस मौसम सरमा की वैक्सीन लगनी है, तो आप अपॉइंटमेंट बुक करवा सकते हैं या ऑनलाइन वॉक इन क्लिनिक तलाश कर सकते हैं। बस कोविड और फ्लू वैक्सीन पीटरब्रा सर्च करें। अगर आपको इससे पहले भी कोविड-19 या फ्लू वैक्सीन लग चुकी है, खा एक दफा ही या इससे ज्यादा, तब भी इसे दोबारा लगाना और महफूज रहना इस वक्त जरूरी है। लिहाजा मजीद जानने के लिए बस आपको ऑनलाइन तलाश करना है कोविड और फ्लू वैक्सीन पीटरब्रा।
Attention foodies! Discover a world of flavours at Pack Foods, the largest ethnic supermarket in Peterborough. Shop our vast selection of authentic ingredients from around the globe, including spices, marinated fish and meats, and exotic fruits at incredibly low prices. And the best part? We offer free parking. No more hunting for a spot. Come visit us today and explore the incredible range of flavours at Pack Foods, 232 Lincoln Road.
Bite into something wonderfully tasty at Big Mouth, 349 Lincoln Road in Peterborough. Eating in, for takeaway or delivery, Big Mouth now have a delicious new menu full of all your favourites. Crispy fried chicken, juicy smashed burgers, finger-licking peri-peri chicken, handmade pizzas, quality doner meat and so much more. So visit the family-friendly Big Mouth restaurant for fantastically fresh food. Call 01733 201020 or visit getbigmouthonline.com.
Could you spare a few hours each month to provide support to people who are going through tough times? If so, Peterborough Samaritans are looking for volunteers who are empathetic and open-minded, and we'd love to hear from you. We run regular information sessions where you can find out more about what it means to volunteer for Samaritans. If you are at least 18 years of age and would like to know more, please email volunteer@peterboroughsamaritans.org.
Fancy the true taste of Middle Eastern Kurdish food? Asia Restaurant gives you the unique fusion of flavours from Turkey, Iraq, Syria and Iran. Eat in at 5 Fitzwilliam Street, Peterborough, PE1 2RU. Or order through Just Eat, Uber Eats or order through our website, asiarestaurant.co.uk. Call us on 01733 562 530. Asia Restaurant, the true taste of the Middle East.
Are you looking for a career where you can make a difference? At Cross Keys Homes, we work with our local communities to create opportunities that change lives. We're looking for enthusiastic, talented people to join our team, from apprenticeships to senior management positions. Cross Keys Homes can support your development while you enjoy great employee benefits. There are so many opportunities for you to shine. Apply to join the Cross Keys Homes team at crosskeyshomes.co.uk.
Peterborough's community radio station, Salaam Radio, 106.2 FM.
Welcome back to the Tech Factor. If you've just tuned in, don't worry, you can catch us back up on our social media channels. We've been talking about quantum computing. Faisal and Shamshad have been sharing their insights. We have a funny feeling that Faisal's going to have one of these amazing, super powerful computers as his own personal computer in a not too distant future. And like I said, if there's something that you have a question from just before the break, if you have a question about quantum computing specifically, please do text the show on 07411 191062. Now, tech tools. Often when we are buying new technology and, we're having it could be a tablet, it could be a laptop, it could be, an IoT device, whatever it may be. Do you consider both your current and future needs before purchasing those tech tools? That's the topic for this section of the show. I know I do, gentlemen. I often, when I'm looking at a new device, I'm asking myself a few questions. Do I need it? Often, probably not. Do I want it? 100% yes. But then I'm also thinking about, okay, how am I going to use it? How is this going to affect my life now? And how is it going to affect my life in the future? Similarly, if there is a device that I'm upgrading. Okay?
That's what I was going to say. There's two different scenarios here, isn't it? There's one where you're getting something that you haven't already got, and the other scenario is where you're upgrading. Correct.
So if we go from the upgrading element of it, there's something that you're currently using and you're thinking, okay, well, I don't want to replace this again, for like another 4 or 5 years. So you're thinking of the specs of that device. But then the other side of it, like we were just saying, your favorite manufacturer may launch something that you really like and you really want it. Do you think at that moment of your current and future needs? So Shamshad, when you're purchasing a tech device of some description, whether it's a phone, tablet, laptop, IoT, whatever it may be, do you take all of these things on board?
Are you talking about upgrade?
Yes, both A and B.
Yeah, so if I'm upgrading something, I usually look at there's a few different things. One is it worth upgrading or not currently? So with what I've got at the moment, is there enough of a difference or improvement to that technology that I'm buying, whatever it is, to warrant spending more money? So, for example, if like the phone, like the one I've got at the moment, this is S22 Ultra. There's a S23 Ultra and S24 Ultra. Apart from the AI stuff in the 24, I still don't see myself upgrading yet because of that very reason. Because there's not that many improvements, I don't think so, to warrant me spending all that money and getting rid of this and getting another phone. But going back to your question, yeah, all of that. But when it's an upgrade, you already know a lot of the answers to them questions. So like you were talking about how it's going to affect my life. I already know that because I've already been using it. So it's something I'm upgrading anyway. So in that scenario, that some of them questions wouldn't really apply, would they?
Well, do you upgrade with, how many years in mind do you have? Do you think, I'm going to use this device for X number of years? Do you have that in your mind? That plays a role in my life.
Well, I mean, you can't really. Yeah, you
I'll give myself.
Ideally, you want it to last as long as it can, but
I don't know about that.
But the thing is, so first of all, there's a budget. So you have a budget that stipulates how far and the longevity of what you're buying, and then also, I forgot what I was going to talk.
So okay, well, for me then is I with the phone, I think max 2 years. That's just me. That's certainly when it comes with the laptop or a tablet, I'm looking 4 years at least. That's a personal thing for me.
So once it gets to 4 years, you think, right, I need a new one.
Just bin it.
Or if the manufacturer, no, definitely not bin it. They either get passed on or whatever. But unless the manufacturer has something extremely compelling out,
so you seriously, you have like 2 to 4 years.
Mate, I've gone from literally upgrading every year.
Wow. Okay.
Literally upgrading every single year, all devices, tablets, laptops, phones, to then thinking, okay, these guys are no longer being innovative enough.
Yeah.
And so they're not going to get my pound. But like I said, for me, the decision is, a lot of it is based around, what am I doing with it now? What am I doing with it in the future? There are remarkable differences between devices, even a couple of generations up. It could be camera technology, it could be, you could have a device that you've bought that is well known for having heating issues. So you think, well, I can't keep this for that long. So that would push it. What about the other side of it, though, Sham? If you saw a new device that came out, how much of that would play a role in your decision making in terms of what we've just discussed?
Yeah, so again, I'm going back to Faisal's next purchase, the Apple Vision Pro. Now, clearly, I can't afford it. That's it, or I can't justify the spend. Okay, but it hasn't stopped me looking into it. So normally, I would do the same thing with anything new that's come out. I would always. I'm one of them guys. I want jump in head first if it's a new technology. I'll wait for a lot of other people to buy that and see their reactions.
Yeah, I'm an early adopter.
Certain things I am, but not with. But when it's a new technology, definitely not. No, I'll wait and see what everybody else's reactions are to that device after like 6 months, and then I'll make my decision on whether or not.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Well, and turning to you, Faisal, how what we've just been discussing there in terms of upgrade being A and then completely new type of technology being B, how do you make your decisions?
If it's something new, I'm like, they say women go into handbag shops. No,
Right.
I'm just saying just generally, yeah. And they just love buying handbags. I'm a bit like that with new technology. So there was a time where I'd be upgrading my phone every 6 months up until the iPhone 6.
6 months?
Yeah. So
Wow.
I was on one of these plans with whichever network it was, paying an extortionate amount, and they allowed me to upgrade every 6 months. And I know people who still do that. But when I got to iPhone 6, I didn't upgrade it until my company's, we do the cybersecurity penetration testing, and they check all the devices, operating systems, and they say, you can't keep this anymore because Apple aren't issuing updates. So it's at that point, I got an iPhone 12 Pro.
That is huge.
And that's the device I still have.
That is a huge gap.
But in between, I bought an iPad Pro. I bought other things as well that I needed. I mean,
So,
this is useful for me. That's why I got it.
Let me ask you then. Okay, so what went through your decision making in terms of getting the iPad? Were you thinking about now and the future? And if you were thinking about the future, how long?
For me, it was the laptop was impractical. It wasn't practical anymore. So, for example, I needed a device that's going to run the entire day, a laptop type device with a pen as well. So any Windows device wasn't meeting that criteria. So for me, it was only the iPad that met that criteria. But then I needed the keyboard, so I just got an iPad with a keyboard cover thing, and that does the job for me. And this can last me 2 days, and it does everything my laptop does.
Yeah, I mean they are very impressive, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what advice would you give to someone who's thinking about buying or even upgrading? I mean, what are the key things they should really be thinking about?
I think is ultimately what they're going to use it for. So sometimes people have a lot of money and they like spending lots of money, so they'll go and get the biggest and most expensive iPhone because they can afford it. Not necessarily that they're going to take those pictures, they're going to use the cameras to take the pictures or anything like that. It's just because they can afford it. Then you'll have people who are on contracts. I know individuals who are on contracts. They're paying £70, £80 a month on a phone contract just to upgrade the phone every year. But could you spend your money elsewhere? Doesn't, ultimately...
I think FOMO plays into a big time, fear of
Yeah, but I
missing
mean,
out.
people want shiny new things, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been there. I mean, after a while, you get the new thing, you get a new car or whatever it is, and a week later, I'm bored with it. So it's just, it doesn't last
So
me
you
very
upgrade
long.
far more often.
The other thing, what I also do is I also add stuff into a shopping cart, whatever I'm buying, which isn't like a thing I need. So, stuff you need, like, for example, you need medicines or whatever, clothes you need, you buy those. But if it's clothes I don't really need, do you see what I'm getting at? So it's just, I want that shirt or I want this. I'll put it in the shopping cart and then I'll leave it in there for 3 days minimum before I'll buy it. Because 9 out of 10 times I'm going to change my mind. I think, you know what, I don't really want that. I'm looking at something else now.
Are you sure you're not playing that game where you add something to your basket, leave it for like a day or two, then they email you saying, hey, you've forgotten this in your basket and here's 5% off?
Sometimes they do that as well.
Yeah. Okay. For me, I mean, you touched on it just there yourself as well, that, what is the device being used for?
So,
And
so when you answer this question, like, what do you do it in the point from like your car? Because you went from a different technology from ICE to electric.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of factors there, wasn't there?
Yeah. But I think the key factor for that, there's a few factors.
That made you make that jump.
Yeah. One of the jump was that I really liked what EVs bring in terms of the car itself. So it's got lots of technology, fantastic to drive. I think the other one was the overall cost of running an EV. These were the two key things. One, it was new, and having test driven, been part of sat in used EVs and thought, okay, this is definitely the future. and then seeing what the costs were and seeing my friend saying, oh, look, I've got 330 miles for £2.50, and you're like, I've just put £60 into my car, and then you start thinking, and then you if you're fortunate to be in a position where you can switch over, the thing that goes through your mind, one of the major things is the running cost. I mean, an EV doesn't have no service costs in the same way as an ICE car. I mean, recently when I had a service done, the chap did it at my house in 6 minutes. That's it. The service was done. And so the running costs for an EV is really low, but the feeling you get driving one of those cars, and then the technology that comes with it. So, we know the main manufacturers out there, they've got some fantastic things that are part of their in-car entertainment and so on. So when I was making that decision, I was thinking now and future. In the future, I was thinking, well, my bills are going to be much lower. Yeah. But now I was thinking, this is going to be really cool to drive, right? And then what else is going to come out? And it hasn't disappointed. I mean, that's the thing. It really hasn't disappointed, and very much so when I'm looking at a device that I want to use at home or a device that I'm using personally. I'm always thinking, okay, how is this going to benefit me now? But I'm always, no matter what I buy, I always think of the future, because I'm always saying, if I'm spending, let's just say, 1,000, because an average smartphone now is £1,000. Okay, and if you then go into the slightly different versions of them, they're like £1,200. I think the Galaxy Fold 5 is like £2,000. Okay, it's a lot of money, right? And so you're not going to be wanting to spend that level of money every year, unless, like you were saying, you just wanted the latest thing and so on, having been there already previously. That plays so I'm always thinking, okay, if I spend a little bit extra now, I know I'm going to use these things, so I try and qualify it. That's when it's true.
Justify you in your
no. First I qualify it, then I've got to justify it. Qualifying in the sense that, okay, like you mentioned about your phone, are these cameras going to be really that much better? Am I really going to take this many pictures with them? And so on and so on and so on. And then I'll go justify it.
I think it depends. If you ask me the question for different things, I'll give you different answers. I was just thinking about TV. I bought a TV a few months ago.
Wasn't it about 50 grand or something?
I was looking at a 50 grand one, but obviously can't afford it, so I'm not going to buy that one. So what I've got habit of
were you wearing your Vision Pro?
I always look at the most expensive thing out there. This is the way I work. Okay, then I work my way down. I think, okay, do I really need that? So when I was looking at these TVs, it was I narrowed it down. Okay, I'll go with the LG G3. Yeah. So I looked at that. I thought, actually, let's look at the G2. Let's see the spec difference. So G2 was just being, what did they call it? End of
phased out.
So it was last year's model, basically. So I thought, you know what? There's not that much difference. For me, I can't see much difference in it, other than it's giving me an extra millimeter of screen, and maybe it's a touch brighter or whatever. But in terms of what I wanted to achieve with it, which was to actually get it right up against the wall, the G2 does a job for me. So I thought I'll do that, and it's half the price.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, TVs are a different ball game, because a lot of people think, oh, high resolution, higher resolution, need the highest. But are you going to use that telly, and that's going to give you an input of something that's going to have that higher resolution?
Then I did end up buying the sound, which cost just as much as the TV.
Told you, while he's wearing his Apple Vision Pro. I take on what you say. It's different. It's horses for courses, isn't it? This is what we're saying. Depending on what you're buying,
there's no point you buying something that's going to do 700 miles an hour when you're not going to be driving at 5 miles an hour.
Yeah, I was thinking about that with cars as well. You can have a 1,000 horsepower car, but you're not going to go more than 70 miles an hour on a road. And what you can do, 0 to 30 in tenth of a second.
It's fun.
Looking at you, mate.
It's fun. It's fun. 0 to 30 is a lot of fun. I must add. So what we're saying here then is it depends on the type of device you're getting, and what its use will be. It will have an impact on your decision making. Mm-hmm. This is what we're saying, right?
Yeah.
Also, like your answer was a good example on the car one about fuel economy. How economical they are. So for you, it was worth it because you would be driving a lot, so you're doing a lot of miles, and then that means you would be spending less money on petrol. Yeah. But for someone who doesn't drive that much, that doesn't come into the equation. Then does it?
For me, I don't drive a lot recently, especially. So the last car I had, I was doing mainly local driving, but I was spending £60 or £70 a week on diesel.
Yeah.
That car wasn't really designed for local use. And when I switched to electric, I'm spending about £5 a week on electric. Like full charge is lasting me easily a week or more, and it's about £6 for a full charge.
It's insane.
To be honest with you, there's a lot of people in that camp which they charge once a week. It costs them, rather than 50, 60 quid a week, it's cost them £5 to £6 a week.
Yeah.
And you can't really argue with that.
Or you charge it at work for free.
Or some people are charging at work for free.
There are lots of free chargers out there. Sometimes I've stayed in hotels and
there's not many left now. Yeah,
but they're really slow, but still, I like it when I get a free charger.
Oh yeah, love it, love it, mate. Yeah.
I think everybody loves a freebie, don't they?
There was a thing, wasn't it? What was it? Half term, was it Ferry Meadows?
Yeah, it's still going, by the way.
Yeah, the EV charges there are zero. Is it free? Isn't it? I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
you might have to pay
really
parking.
It's a pound. It's a pound.
Oh, okay.
It's a £1 charge.
Yeah, because I checked on the app and it said 0 per kilowatt hour.
If you have the app, then I've seen it at 0.
Yeah, that's what.
But if you don't have the app, it's a pound.
Okay.
It's a 7.5 kilowatt charger, but you do have to pay the Ferry Meadows
car parking charge. Yeah.
So I think a couple of hours is £3.20. Yeah. But like you said, I mean, it's not to be sniffed at. So if you do go out with the family and so on, you're already there anyway. You're plugging your car in. I think they've got 26 chargers as well, which is quite impressive.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, there was quite a few.
7.5's a bit slow though, isn't it?
Yes, but that being said, let's just say you're out with the family for a couple or friends for a couple of hours. Listen, that's a good 10, 15, 20% top up.
Yeah,
easy.
Yeah.
I think it also depends on your car's efficiency as well. Like my one, if I take it to work, it's a 7.5. Within a couple of hours, I've got like 20%, something like that.
There we go.
Yeah, I think if it's free, it's worth it, but I don't think it's worth paying whatever it is.
For the parking. Here we go.
No, parking's different.
It's different. We don't like paying. I tell you that, I absolutely don't like paying for parking, but we have to.
Yeah, so if they charged us for the electric but gave us parking free, I'm up for that.
What?
No.
If they charge us for the...
What?
What? They may charge...
No, so let's say, for example...
There's like 40p, normally something like that, they're like 40p per kilowatt.
So now it'll be more, I bet you it'll be more than that.
So let's say, for example, you're paying £3 for car parking, yeah? So if you get £3 worth of super charge, whatever it is, within 3 hours, they charge you £5 for argument's sake, or a tenner or something, and you need you to fill your car up. Because remember, if you're locally going to Ferry Meadows, what's the chances you're going to need your car charging at 7 kilowatt?
No, this is true. But they're not supercharging. These are just,
what's the point then? You may as well wait till you come home.
They're just top-ups. That's what they are. Yeah, so while you're chilling out, but no, let me flip that on you then and say you do go there with a low charge. While you're with your family, you're going to get a significant top up, or enough for you to go do something else.
Then it's worth it.
It's like I went with the family up north. It was near, I think it was near Birmingham. It was like one of them designer villages. I can't remember. Like Bicester Village we got around close to here. I can't remember what it's called. It was something else. It was a different one. I went there, and when I went to park it there, I saw, mate, I was over the moon. The parking, and it had free. So it's free parking. And it was free electricity as well.
That just explains everything.
So that day, normally I hate shopping. I hate it with a passion, going out shopping. But that day, I'm dragging my feet. The family.
Because did you have a target percentage in mind? Yeah. Wow. Look at that. Wow, brilliant. Thanks for that. That's just so funny. Listen, I just want to say that, just circling back to the tech tool purchasing element of it, I think we're aligned in the studio. I'm sure many people are there, factor in all of the things that we've discussed this evening about this. And I hope you've gained some valuable insights from us as well about this, how we make our decisions. So if you do want to get involved in the show, you can text us on 07411 191 062, or you can call the show on 01733 602 133, or you can comment on the live stream, Facebook, YouTube, X, or Twitch.
You're listening to Peterborough's community radio, Salaam Radio. Salaam Radio, 106.2 FM.
Right, so we're in the last section of the show where we talk about the tech and funny stories of the week. And I'm going to go to my two fellow tech enthusiasts and see what they've got for me this week. Faisal, what have you got?
Cool story I've got is something we were discussing a couple of weeks ago when the Vision Pro was launched and people were driving around with it in their cars. Well, it's only been a couple of weeks since that incident, and now Apple have actually filed for a patent, which is it looks like it will be a dedicated feature which will allow Vision Pro owners to use their headsets while they're on the road, which will presumably mean that it's safer to drive.
Okay, this is amazing.
Yeah.
That's
so
insane.
for me, it was an amazing story. So just imagine you're driving the car and then you can do all that other stuff while you're there.
Okay, instantly, honestly, I'm thinking about manufacturers of cars, BMW, Tesla, and others, who've got really good, sophisticated, intelligent, autonomous technologies in their cars, where I would use something like that.
Yeah, even that. Or what about controlling the car? So, for example,
he always goes on. See, and you're telling me he's not going to have a quantum computer,
right? Yeah, so rather than messing around on your Tesla, trying to find that button on your iPad that's in there. So instead of having that, you've got the car controls all over wherever you want them, and you say, okay, like turn up the AC, or
amazing,
steer the car that way. You just tell the car go that way.
Crack on,
crack
on.
This is fantastic.
Or you could have a lever at the top like an aeroplane.
Exactly. You could change the whole cockpit to yourself, couldn't you? And have it different. This is brilliant.
Yeah, or put the sat nav in the Vision Pro, all that usual stuff.
Yeah, I can see that as well. Pun intended. Yes, that's fantastic. I can see. I'm hoping they do it, because obviously Apple will go through a lot of rigorous testing and so on. But again, it just goes to show you how a technology like the Vision Pro will have real world uses. And we were talking about it when we covered this quite extensively, so I don't want to give it too much airtime again today. But what I will say is we've spoken about it in healthcare settings, we've spoken about it in real world uses. But I have to say, definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
great.
This is called Project Titan. So if you Google it, it'll tell you a bit more. But basically, Apple have been working on their own car project for a while.
They have.
This is basically going to be an extension.
Yeah, and they were looking for a manufacturer to team up with them. They did have initially one or two, and then that sort of fell away because we were expecting Apple's car by 2025, to be quite frank with you, but it hasn't happened.
Yeah, Apple don't usually rush these things.
They don't know.
They're known for that, yeah.
This is true. So, but I would say one thing too, and I think you both agree with me as well, that when Apple does release a car, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah, I mean, on that similar kind of what you're talking about there now, I don't know if you saw this, it was LG.
I know them personally, yeah.
So they're working on a car as well. I should have phrased that better, shouldn't I? So they're working on a car as well, on an autonomous vehicle as well. But the brilliant thing I saw with it was, which is where like the Vision Pro you were talking about, similar kind of thing, is their windscreen. The windscreen has augmented reality. So imagine your car's windscreen has augmented reality. So like on the BMW, the new EVs, the electric car, where they give the directions as arrows.
So the sat nav. So
yeah, on the sat nav, on the camera, and it shows you of your road. So here, instead of being on a screen, on your windscreen, it will tell you, right, there's that turn's coming. As the turn's coming up, it will have an arrow saying, oh, go into that road.
And so that's like the next level up. So just so for anyone who hasn't used it, so Mercedes and BMW and others have augmented reality in their satellite navigation system. So not only on the screen when you're going in a certain direction, does it show you in a secondary screen, it shows you a big arrows on the road and so on. So it's saying definitely make this turn. It also shows you in the heads-up display. This is an evolution of that. We're saying the whole windscreen is saying
augmented reality.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So not just that. So you could be driving past businesses, and a little sign will pop up above it, because it's the whole windscreen. It will be above it, just floating there, giving you some information about what the business is, what they're selling, or if they've got a special offer on or something.
I'll tell you what I saw really cool in a car show, but this is probably in 1997. It was 97.
You're showing your age, mate.
Jaguar had this screen which had a night vision built into it, and I thought,
wow,
why can't cars have this? So when you're driving at night,
no headlights.
Everything's you have headlights, but everything's just much more clearer.
Yeah.
So you don't need to put your full beams on, or you don't need to think, oh, who's that person in the distance? It basically makes everything crystal clear. And also alerts as well. I mean, the other day I was reversing my car and it activated the emergency brake, and I was thinking, thank God for that. If it didn't do that, I would have hit into the car behind. Even though it was beeping, my mind was elsewhere. It was only when the emergency brake activated that it kind of...
Yeah.
Actually, incidentally, when I was on my way to the studio today, usual route, and all of a sudden the car in front of me braked, and the car itself took action, and it braked so hard. I was like, okay, I probably wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah.
Literally saved.
It can be annoying as well. Like my one does it as well, but it does it to the point where I usually tend to go, my margin for when I'm parking and maneuvering is a lot closer. So it doesn't like me going that close. So it says no.
Yeah, I think
Especially, it just said, no, you're not going any closer.
I think you'll improve when cars can communicate with each other. So, if you're 20 cars behind an accident that's happened, your car knows that there's some incident that's happened because the cars in front have already sent a message.
Yeah, so that's a bit like Waze. So Waze, the navigation software, it asks users to input what's happening on the road. So that tells other users further back, okay, there's been an accident.
Yeah, you're talking
about cars. Yeah, I appreciate that, yeah. So that would be really cool.
So one of the first ones would message behind it, and then that one behind it,
So in that case, you don't need Windows or anything to look through.
Yeah.
No. This Apple Vision Pro car technology has been so good, we weren't able to talk about any of the story, and we're actually running out of time. We're in there.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I know,
really
the show's by so forgive me there, Shamshad. Thanks for your inputs and insights again this evening, gentlemen. I want a quantum computer. I'm sure there's many people listening this evening also want a quantum computer, but I think we all want it for different reasons. And then again, I want the Apple Vision Pro. I think Faisal's going to buy it for me and Shamshad. This is what we've been told, and then we can use them in our cars once Apple says we're allowed to do so. So
I want to play Call of Duty on it.
You want to play Call of Duty while you're driving? Fantastic. But yeah, that's it. That's the end of the show. Thank you for tuning into Tech Factor. Join us next week as we explore different tech subjects. But in the meantime, stay unplugged.
Stay tuned